Luka Doncic put on an absolute show against the Portland Trail Blazers as the Dallas Mavericks moved to 7-3 in their last 10 basketball games with a 132-92 win over the Portland Trail Blazers. Kevin Gray, of course, of 105.3 The Fan. This is the Gray Area right here on Kevin Gray Sports on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. The Dallas Mavericks used a 38-point second quarter, outscoring the Trailblazers 38-24, and then scoring another 38 points in the third quarter, outscoring the Portland Trailblazers 38-15 to get a 40-point drubbing over the Trailblazers, 132-92. Luka Doncic goes for 37 points in 30 minutes of play, 8 of 9 from the three-point line, made his first 8 3-pointers before missing his final one before resting the entire fourth quarter. Now has a scoring average of over 30 points per game in 11 career games against the Portland Trail Blazers, and had a spectacular night to lead the Dallas Mavericks in a really nice win on the road as they move to 22-19 on the season to move within 2.5 games of the Denver Nuggets for the 5th seed in the Western Conference. The Dallas Mavericks shoot 51% from the three-point line, holding Damian Lillard and McCollum to a combined 0 of 12 from the three-point line on the defensive end of the basketball. I asked Luka Doncic after the game about the trust that Rick Carlisle has in him, about the shots that he's taking and the ability to hit those shots, and what that relationship has continued to grow and look like. Here's what Luka Doncic had to say after the game. Hey, Luka, Coach Carlisle talked about the trust that has in you with respect to the shot making and the shots that you take. What is it about your relationship with Coach Carlisle that you've been able to develop that trust with him, and that he's been able to develop that trust with you to take those shots when you're feeling it like that?
I mean, the way I felt today, I think they were good shots, but sometimes they're not. So I just gotta depend on which moment of the game it is. I just gotta control these shots.
So Luka Doncic recognizing the good shots that he does take, at times making sure that he's taking the correct shots in the correct situations. And on this night against the Portland Trail Blazers, there wasn't a shot that didn't look good to him, as he was able to make his first 8 3-pointers in this basketball game. Continued to set the tone for this team, and continuing now to get that three-point percentage to climb, as he is now shooting over 37% for the season from downtown. You had a really nice contribution tonight from a guy in Dorian Finney-Smith, coming back for his first game after missing the last couple of games due to the birth of his child. He goes for 13 points. He wins the defensive player of the game for the Dallas Mavericks. He was a plus 32 in the plus-minus category. Dorian Finney-Smith drawing the defensive assignments against Damian Lillard and McCollum, as I mentioned, holding them to a combined 0 of 12 from the three-point line. Also, Josh Richardson had a really nice game, also with 21 points. He went 8 of 11 from the field, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. So Josh Richardson and Dorian Finney-Smith both getting in on the act in terms of the great defensive effort that they put forward against the Portland Trail Blazers. I asked Josh Richardson after the game, when the Dallas Mavericks in that second quarter, when the game was tied at 44, they go on a 21-10 run with 6:44 left in that second quarter to really turn the game around against the Trailblazers. So I asked Josh Richardson what was the key to that turnaround and how they were able to get themselves out in front and leading by double digits at halftime. Here is what Josh Richardson had to say after the game. Hey, Josh, you guys went on a 21-10 run with about 6:44 left in that second quarter when you guys were tied at 44 there. What changed defensively for you guys, and what able you guys get on that run there in the second quarter, turn things around?
I think we caught a couple breaks with their guy. Dame missed a couple ones that he normally makes, but I think that I would attest that to Doe. Just having those footsteps always around him, and it's never easy with a 6'8" guy just chasing you around like that. So, and I think we're getting the ball out a lot quicker, and it was getting up the court, we were moving it, hitting shots, and just doing what we had to do.
So Josh Richardson attributing the defensive effort to himself and Dorian Finney-Smith with the way that they were able to get out and guard on the perimeter against Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, two of the best scorers in the NBA. Obviously a guy in Damian Lillard averaging over 30 points per game. CJ McCollum himself, 24, 25 points per game. One of the best, if not the best, guard tandem in the entire association. The Dallas Mavericks did a yeoman's job on both of them in this particular basketball game to ensure that they were not getting off the way that they did in the first game, where you saw a 9-0 run in that fourth quarter really spell doom for the Dallas Mavericks in that game against the Portland Trail Blazers the other night. At the same time, the Dallas Mavericks were able to salvage at least a game in the season series. Portland does win the overall season series 2-1, which is important when you start thinking about tiebreakers and playoff scenarios as this season continues to move forward. Now that the Dallas Mavericks have played 42 basketball games, there are 30 games left in this season, and with the trade deadline looming on March the 25th, this was an important win, not just for the continued momentum and the defensive effort that they put forward, but more importantly now how this team continues to try and climb up the Western Conference standings when you see teams like the San Antonio Spurs, the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Denver Nuggets all sitting in front of them. The more and more opportunities that you have to win games, especially on the road, where they move to 11-10 now on the road this season, and then also pick off games against teams in front of you, that is going to be extremely important going forward with respect to how this Mavericks team goes forward before they go on the road to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves on Wednesday. I asked Coach Rick Carlisle after the game about that continued defensive effort, specifically holding CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard to a combined 0 of 12 from the field, where they only had a combined 32 points in this game. Here's what Coach Rick Carlisle had to say about the defensive effort, specifically pointing out Jamal Mosley, the defensive coordinator, on the effort and adjustments that they made from game 1 in this series against Portland to game 2. Here's what Rick Carlisle had to say after the game.
Hey, Coach, held CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard to a combined 0 of 12 from the three-point line. What did you like about the rotations and the defensive effort, holding those guys down the way that you did tonight?
Well, I like the plan. You know, we had some adjustments that really made sense. We did a couple things that were a bit unusual, but Jamal was able to sell it to our guys, and it made it tough. And look, these guys have been playing great. This is not to say that we're master locked by any stretch, but we did a great job tonight. They had an off night, and we had something to do with it.
So Rick Carlisle liking the adjustments that Jamal Mosley put forward as far as the game plan was concerned, doing some different and more creative, unique things to really get underneath Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum to make things more difficult for them. Obviously, the ability to contain them from downtown, especially in Damian Lillard's case, because his range begins when he crosses the half-court line. The ability to get out on the shooters, to be able to put pressure on them defensively all night long was extremely important for the Dallas Mavericks, and they were able to do so to the tune of holding them to a combined 0 of 12 from the three-point line. As we mentioned, Luka Doncic was absolutely spectacular in this basketball game. 37 points, 8 of 9 from the field as far as downtown was concerned, 13 of 19 from the field overall. Rick Carlisle talking about the mixes of the drives and the step backs and the offensive creativity from Luka Doncic, the full trust that Rick Carlisle now has in Luka Doncic in terms of the shot making and his ability to make good decisions with the basketball, especially when the ball feels like it's falling into an ocean with how wide open the basket seemed like it was against the Portland Trail Blazers. And you stand back and marvel at what the guy in Luka Doncic is able to do, not only from a creativity standpoint in terms of his passing, but now continuing to develop his outside shot. When he is on this kind of a run, when he's clicking on all cylinders, he's virtually unguardable when he's hitting the outside shot. And we've talked about this for Luka Doncic in terms of the maturation of his game, not only improving from the free throw line, but consistently hitting the ball from downtown and hitting that three-point shot. will make him virtually unguardable in this league with his ability to create, get into the paint at will, the mid-range game that he has found this season, and now mixing that in with his ability to shoot the ball from the three-point line. Luka Doncic put himself in some rarefied air, and obviously going 8 of 9 from downtown put pressure on this Portland Trail Blazers team all night. As a team, the Dallas Mavericks went 19 of 37 from the three-point line, shooting over 51%, out-rebounded the Portland Trail Blazers 52-33. This game was over after the end of the third quarter, where Luka Doncic did not have to play at all during the fourth quarter in this basketball game. Tim Hardaway, Dwight Powell also in double figures in this game. Kristaps Porzingis had 12 points in this game, a couple of block shots, a steal, a guy who was a plus 30 on his own. You didn't necessarily see the offensive performance that you would want to see from Kristaps Porzingis, but affected the game, especially on the defensive end. Had a really nice block on an Enes Kanter dunk attempt in this game. Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis, and the collective effort of the Dallas Mavericks was extremely important as they get this 40-point win moving forward. And as you start to stretch this out moving forward, this is a team that goes on the road, is off for a couple of days before taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they will have a difficult road stretch where they come home and play one game against the Indiana Pacers, and then they go on the road to take on teams like the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics, and others, where it's going to be extremely important for them to be able to get some road wins to continue to build some momentum as they try to move up this Western Conference standings. An important 5-game stretch they just came off of, where they played obviously a couple of games against the Los Angeles Clippers, splitting those games. You played a couple of games against the Portland Trail Blazers. You split those games, all preceded by the win that you were able to get against the Denver Nuggets. A tough stretch in those 5 games that you come out of now, 3-2 and overall 22-19 on the season. Continuing to play much better defensively. This is a team that's top 11 in defensive rating in its last 10 basketball games. We know how this team is starting to improve much more consistently from the three-point line, as evidenced by the barrage of three-pointers that they hit against the Portland Trail Blazers, led by Luka Doncic. This team is finally starting to hit its stride and playing more consistent basketball with respect to how they play night in and night out. When you start thinking about where this team was when they had that 6-game losing streak, now find themselves in a really good stretch of basketball and finding more consistency on the defensive end. It's important for the Mavericks team to build off of this momentum as they stay on the road to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and a guy, Anthony Edwards, who is a serious Rookie of the Year candidate, may now be the odds-on Rookie of the Year candidate now that LaMelo Ball is going to be out for the rest of the season due to a fractured wrist. But more importantly, you saw the contributions from a Dorian Finney-Smith, whose defensive presence and effort was stark and much needed after a game against the Portland Trail Blazers in Game 1 of this 2-game series, where the Dallas Mavericks gave up 125 points, was not able to sustain the kind of defense that they needed to have in clutch time with that 9-0 run that they gave up in game number 1. Dorian Finney-Smith made a tremendous difference in this basketball game, holding the Portland Trail Blazers to just 92 points in this basketball game. So the Dallas Mavericks now move to 22-19 on the season, 11-10 on the road. Luka Doncic put on a virtuoso performance with the 37 points in the 30 minutes that he played, going 8 of 9 from downtown. The Dallas Mavericks shooting over 51% from the three-point line. They are off for the next couple of days, but they get back on the road to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves before ultimately coming back home on Friday to take on the Indiana Pacers. You will also have the NBA trade deadline, which take place on March the 25th. We already saw reports from Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer talking about the Cavaliers and the Mavericks having discussions about a potential trade for Andre Drummond. Will that potentially go down over the next couple of days with the trade deadline set to culminate on March the 25th? We will see if the Dallas Mavericks will continue to potentially make moves, or more importantly, stay pat as they try to move up in the Western Conference standings. The Dallas Mavericks get a 132-92 win, a 40-point beatdown of the Portland Trail Blazers on the road. Luka Doncic, 37 points in 30 minutes, 8 of 9 from downtown. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there here at Kevin Gray Sports, and follow me also on 105 through the Fan, where you can catch me every single weekend with my partner, the two-time Hall of Famer, Chris Arnold. This has been another episode of The Gray Area. We'll talk to you later. Peace.